Thank you very much for that schnazzatoon, bad blast from the past. So we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna share, an Accawmacke conversation with y'all, as we do every day, and how we navigate this world that's trying to deny us of our rights, deny us of our land and what is owed to us. So as we navigate this, we're letting you get a up close and personal experience of what that actually feels like. So welcome everyone. And let's see if we can get people. I hadn't really shared the live in advance. I really should have, but I didn't actually like get it popping across the I guess the Facebook groups, but I will go ahead and share it. Perhaps maybe Penny or some of the other Accawmacke can share this as well, because I definitely would like to share this. I can share this as well. Sorry, around the because I definitely around the sorry y'all, around the internet. So like, share, subscribe. Let's get this popping. Let's get people into the chat. But also let's not delay in our conversation. How you doing there? The Asa woman, big. What does it say? Big.
Don't worry about all that. Okay, that's just excessive. That's just
all right. We're not going to explore that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what we're talking about today, part of what we're going to be talking about is just what today signifies, and what about the 1776? What about the 4th of July? Like what are we really celebrating? Okay. And we like a holiday. The Accawmackes, we love a party. We love a holiday. I am not trying to rain on anybody's holidays, because you know why? Because they know us and they know that we like a party. We like a reason to take off. We like a reason to celebrate. We like a reason to see, that is part of our culture. So they know how to make us feel a certain kind of way. So I understand that kind of strikes a chord with us, and I get it. And abstaining from these things is, I've had a lot of that, because I was raised. You might not know, but I was raised Jehovah's Witness. So abstaining from holidays, yeah, I had a whole half a life of that. Not half a life, but not about a third of life, but or somewhere around that. Well, not even a third, but anyway, I had a fraction of my life of doing that. So I get that. I get like, oh, these holidays are, demonic, or they're, not of God, or they're just whatever, or they're, pagan. I get that. I get that. Oh, this is not a holiday we should celebrate, because of the origin of the history and the telling of the history that has been, done here in this country. But y'all, everything's been lied about. So if you really want to get down to it, there ain't nothing that we are actually participating in that is probably just, righteous, truthful. What do you think, Nay? Like, isn't it all a bunch of bull? Like, really? Like, so I mean, if you were like, if you're gonna go out and get yourself a non-participation pass for everything that was not righteous or right or justified, you would be sitting everything out. Am I not tripping? Like, right?
Right. That makes sense.
I mean, I'm just saying, because a lot of people like, yes, because a lot of people get into this understanding of, yeah, we indigenous, and why are you celebrating 4th of July? Okay, Juneteenth is weird too. That's not something that we East Coast Indians have anything to do with. You know what I mean? And nobody marched or asked or petitioned for that holiday. It was just like thrown at us, which is weird. And you should always be like suspicious, like give the, put the one eye closed on that. Like, why are you giving me something we ain't asked for? That's weird. But the reality is, if we need to be given the side eye and the one eye closed look to everything, because that's what it is. So at this point, you got it. What do you mean? What do you think about it?
Yeah, remember they did that Juneteenth ice cream? Like it just like it was like holiday then ice cream. I'm like, nah, this is weird.
It was so weird. But this year they did the cake. You heard about the cake?
They did a Juneteenth cake.
I think was it Walmart or Kroger's? Somebody did a Juneteenth cake in a bakery, and it looked horrible. And it went viral on the internet because it was a disgusting looking cake. Like as many beautiful cakes as they have, this year they made a Juneteenth cake, and it looked like just mud, and people were livid about it. It's funny how livid we can get about a cake or some ice cream. I just can't, you know what I mean? So it's really funny, but yeah, we can get very we can feel some kind of way about some ice cream or some cake, but can we get a little bit serious about what counts? Let's do that.
Right.
So I want to dig into a little bit of the history, and also I wanted to get somebody had a message on the last one. And if you do have a question that you want us to cover, please, give us a comment, send us a message, or, put in the chat, and we'd be glad to kind of cover that, because we're going to be trying to get on here as much as possible, because we're creating energy here, and we're creating, and we're putting light on we're demystifying and putting light on the demons, because they die under the light. So we're going to flash light upon the lies and everything and the demonic energy that's out here. So that's why we're trying to make an effort to, instead of having these conversations and all this work, a lot of work that we do offline, we're going to do it online. So we're sharing it with the family and with the public. Okay, so someone asked me about, okay, what do you mean pre-colonial? Okay, so what you are and understanding who we are is extremely important, and getting it right, not just historically, but legally, is, I can't even tell you, like, these words, these titles, they do matter, right? Okay, so because you don't want to put yourself out, you don't want to put yourself in a bad situation. And I don't think we actually understand that as well as we should, but we will begin. So what I was saying is that we are pre-colonial, and that's important, because pre-colonial means before your butt got here, before this entity or corporation known as the United States of International Commerce got here, right? Then the second part is non-consenting. Also very important. Weird to your mind, may not actually work with your thinking, like that's an awkward phraseology. In your normal conversation, you probably don't say non-consenting, but legally, that's the term. And so legally, when you actually declare yourself and you are actually sparring, because we're always sparring, and that's the thing we don't also understand, is that we're in a war state. We don't understand it. They're at war against us. We are not at war against them, but they are at constant war against us. And because of that, we have to be on the defense in this war. Yeah. So yes. So in doing that, we have to use the right words for combat. Does that make sense? You get that, name?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, so non-consenting is a word that is very powerful. It seems very minor, but it actually says a whole lot. It means, and I want to break it down because I want everybody to understand why these words are important. Non-consenting means that, okay, yeah, we're not citizens. Understand, we're not citizens, right? And because we predate this whole citizen thing, right? And especially us being Accawmacke, we predate, like they already had kind of tried to erase us before the revolution, or around that time, we were already like, and after the revolution, forget about it. They came for us hog. Yeah. Like people asked me, like someone asked me on the comments the other day from my other live about, freedmen and the Civil War. Honey, by the time the Civil War happened, the Accawmacks were before Plecker, before the Civil War. We were really pushed to the almost erased as far as our just our identity, at least on the books. They erased us from the books by the time the Civil War. We're still here in full-fledged to this moment, but on the books they did like they started fully erasing us from jump, because we're such a huge entity. And that's the thing, because we don't really know how big of a so because they renamed us the Powhatans, that was the first erasure, because we don't know that Powhatan is just like a title of a chief, and we don't know that the Powhatan Confederacy really is the Accawmacke Confederacy, because the one who they called Chief Powhatan really was a born Accawmacke, which explains a lot of the history that is being told, where the Pamunkeys, brother, the Opachenog is like referring to the Accawmacks, telling John Smith to go see the Accawmacks, sending the Savage Child to the Accawmacks. Why was he sending them across the bay? Why? Because that's the main village. It only really makes sense because where the Pamunkeys are located, that is not a strategic point for any head of any kind of confederacy. It's not. Like, you're too deep in there. You can't. That's not a good defensive point. The Eastern Shore is a very good place of defense and offense. And that is, Air Hall is the main village of the chiefs. That's what Air Hall is. And they knew that. Air Hall, I can show you. We're going to get into a whole lot of information, because years ago, before I knew what I was looking at, I had snatched some of the archaeological findings and some of the researchers, like, little reports and written reports and things from Air Hall before I knew, like I said, before I knew what I was looking at years. We're talking about decades ago, right? And now, of course, you can't find it on the internet, but sis got it. So really what they found when they were digging around at Air Hall before, Forlong found out it was a problematic thing to do, they found all these Indian pottery and evidence of the whole thing like being a major Indian town. And they shut it down. They shut down the archaeology. They no more, right? So and it was funny because I forgot about all that. I don't know, like Indians are very good at pushing things to the back. And it didn't come to the forefront in my mind until Kerry Davis came to the summit. And he walked around Air Hall, and he was like, and I was like, yeah, these are where my big mama's cousins and kinfolk. That's where they all lived, on this water right here, and this is where my cousin, Meg, what can I think of her name? Oh, Georgie. This is where Georgie's house is, right here. And so he was like, Kerry Davis was like, so slaves was on waterfront property? And Kerry has a way of like looking at things and breaking it down to the point that you're like, that is very basic and real. And why didn't we see that before? Like, I mean, he has a way of deciphering things down to the letter. And so when he said they had slaves on waterfront property, and I was like, yeah, somehow now that you actually speak it out loud, that makes no sense. So from that moment on, that's when I began to understand it differently, that the so-called Negroes, coloreds, and the bad word blacks were not any of those things. That my people I knew were Indian, but at that point when we were at the Air Hall, we knew that. But when he said the whole beachfront thing. I was like, that's where the Indians live. They never removed us. It's our nation. They just occupied our land. And see, the way we are is like we put up with a lot. We share a lot. We, especially if they dipped and dived and married in and then dipped in and dipped out, we will allow that for somebody, trying to be like family or whatever. Hey, Toph, how you doing? So, welcome. Yeah, I think you're.
Hey,
Yeah.
how's it going?
Hi. So yeah, I was just talking about Air Hall and how when Kerry Davis came to the summit and we went to Air Hall, then he said that statement about slaves being on waterfront property. That was my light bulb moment, and I was like, yeah, who would put slaves on waterfront? I mean, you wouldn't. This is the thing, you would not. Like, they proposed that they purchased Air Hall. That's the kind of stuff that they lie. They lie about everything, but they claim that they purchased Air Hall and all that. But you wouldn't no one would purchase waterfront property and then leave slaves on the waterfront. Like, what? And your house is not on the waterfront, really. Like, it's adjacent, somewhat to the water. You can see the water, but it's not really like theirs is on a nice creek where you could just go out the back door and there's crabs and clams and fish. And I mean, there's no impotence. There's berries and cherries and all kinds and walnuts. There's all kinds of plenty on that land. So there's no impotence for you to have to daggone scrape and grovel for somebody. Is that kind of situation. So I think I have some more Accawmacke on here. Hold on. Oh yeah. No, I don't. Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah. So basically, yeah, it's really yeah, so that was definitely a light bulb moment. But anyway, when I say that I was getting to the point of the fact that this land has always been ours, and the fact that we are Powhatan, the fact that the Powhatan are really Accawmacke is why it was so important that our erasure happened so early. And that's why when the brother was trying to figure out, well, where were we with the Plecker thing, and when were our names changed with that? And I was like, baby, the change off on the Accawmacke was early, because understand, we are the first people to be placed on a prison camp reservation in the nation. We're the first. We had the greatest amount of Paddington land than anybody. So if they say that the Pamunkey have 25K, then trust and believe we got over 55. We got way more than they do, because they're the psychops. The Pamunkeys are the psychops. They're the ones that they use to play like they're the Indians. You know what I mean? They're not. They're their sister tribe, their brother tribe, but they're not. They're not the premier nation. It's the Accawmacke. And not to be assholes, it's just the truth. It's just the truth. And like I said, part of that is evident historically, where you see historically why are they always talking about the Accawmacke, about, well, we want to poison the colonizers. Oh, okay, let's talk to the Accawmacke. Oh, we want to do this. Well, let's talk to the Accawmacke. Oh, we want to get rid of this dude Savage. Well, let's talk to the everything. They're referring to the parent nation. They're not referring back to themselves. And the other thing is, why did the Accawmacke not pay tribute? Because you don't pay tribute to yourself. Like, that's why. You don't pay tribute to yourself. So everything shows, when you actually do the forensic research, that the Accawmacke are we are the huge Confederacy. The other thing, that everything is a first for us. They didn't go pluck the Pamunkey up and put them and send them to Sierra Leone, to Nova Scotia, in the manner they did to us. Why? Because we had all these wealthy, free Indians in our county, despite what they do, right? Despite what they do to us, even like, oh, they took a bunch of us and sent us to Nova Scotia. Oh, well, we're going to keep on trying, because that is our way. Like, we don't just, And it's a problematic thing because we don't kind of get mad and fixate and then fight. We sit up there and move on to the next, which is problematic because you don't resolve the original problem. That's the problem with. It's nice that you forget and move on, but at the same time, it's bad because you don't fight about that other problem. You kind of just let that other problem go. That's the problem with it. So basically, when um, when we talk about the fact that we're non-consenting, that shows that we are not consenting to this takeover. We are not consenting to this illegal corporation. We never did consent, right? So stating that in our personhood and in our identity is very important. So when you fill out one of those new job what's your identity forms, are you a citizen, you check no, and you write down pre-colonial, non-consenting, Accawmacke, or if you're not an Accawmacke, American Indian non-taxed. I'm sorry, I forgot the Indian on there. Fix that later. American Indian, not taxed. Okay. That, or you can say American, really, actually. But I would say American Indian, not taxed. Because you're an Indian not tax. You're not just American non tax. You're American Indian. It's the Indian non tax law that you would be citing. So they make sure you say American Indian. You could actually say Accawmacke not tax or Accawmacke Indian not tax, but I forgot the Indian on there. It's been rushing. So basically, that's what we're going to do, and that's what I was trying to put out there for the brother that had a question, and I like to be able to have these questions because I want to know what y'all are thinking and I want to be able to help. Tell if you got anything to share.
Um, I've been researching basically about our tribal sovereignty or
Mm-hmm.
nation sovereignty as far as coming from under their commercial licensing.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, through the years I've been studying, but recently I've been connecting as like what you've been doing, trying to connect it directly to our nation.
Right.
And basically, I see the Cherokee and a couple of other nations, so-called nations, whether they're real or not, have
Right.
they have the ability to make a license and it basically be as this so-called real ID,
Right.
but it takes them from under the well, it's supposed to take, if they're real as we are, it would take them from under the corporation, but we know that they have a fiduciary duty as so-called natives. But for us, it would take us totally under their from under their jurisdiction, so that when we're traveling about, or even when they try and start a criminal case, as they did in your case, they use that license number as our social security number to attach to our bonds. So basically, they could start a criminal case against anyone, even though it's civil, they start the criminal case. So that's just something that I've been researching.
Right.
And
That's a good point because, like, seriously, as long as you are in their system with a driver's license and stuff, like, yeah, they'll try to use it because they did not, because I only gave them my travel ID,
okay,
but they totally did not use that, right?
right,
So, I mean, so that's the thing. So, whatever they were able to look up on me, that's what they used. They did not use my tribal ID.
right. Well,
So,
because we're in their system with these license. So yeah,
right,
because I've done that before. I've given them um some type of indigenous identification that, like, didn't have a social security number or a bond number that they could use. But yeah, they'll look up, like in my case, Stanley Pinckney, they'll look that up, and then they figure out how to attach to it, and then they see a driver's license, or even if you have a state ID, they could do the same thing with a so-called state ID. So basically, I guess it's imperative that we that's one of the next big steps that we have to do, like come from under, we have to what's it called, an adhesion bond, basically, where we
well,
sign the
I don't.
contract.
I don't even think that that's not even necessary, because what is going on with us is that my fight is us coming out from under. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So as we declare, as we, as I fight through this whole criminal thing that they're trying to do to me, then our nationhood will be established. You know what I mean? That it will establish with them, it will create precedents that they cannot treat us like any old citizen, because we're not. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's
Right.
that's the premier thing, because most of these nations do not fight the government. They make contract with them, right?
Right. Exactly.
So this fight, that's why they're fighting me so hard, and that's why it means so much, because
Okay.
as they succumb to the fact that they cannot do as they please with me and treat me as a ward, as you mentioned the other day, right?
Right.
When it's established that you cannot treat me as a ward, and that different rules apply, and you must adhere to those rules, right?
Right.
That's when, I mean, you ain't got to change nothing. They can, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got to change nothing.
Okay.
As long as you're an Accawmacke, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's verified, that it will create a whole nother level of, power and
Okay.
and and exchange with them, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
But these things are not going to be given easily. Like, that's why the battle I'm going through is so hard, right?
Right.
It was very interesting that, like, with Cynthia and Accawmacke, and the whole fact that they understood that we have a different level of working. Even other counties in Virginia understood, because I've been stopped by police and they've been like, okay, what's your jurisdiction? You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's understood there, but it's understood broadly, especially, like I said, other counties, right?
Okay.
But when what we're dealing with here is these Northampton Klansmen, like, seriously, we're dealing with Klansmen and women.
Right.
And so these Klansmen and women are refusing to say nigh, and they're refusing to let go of their racketeering lifestyle and their criminal privilege, right?
Right.
So that's what I'm combating. Criminals. I'm combating hardcore criminals that are unbothered, unchecked, and they have at their disposal judges, attorneys, people of power, politics. They've got all this, like the governors, they've got all this at their disposal, right? And despite them having all this at their disposal, they're not able to dispose of me like they want to, right? So that's the thing. So the battle with me it is paramount. And right now, because they're so desperate to try to put me under their thumb, they're doing really dumb things. Like, you're going to file another civil suit, sir, a year later from your same company, sir?
Right.
Like, why don't you put a red banner why don't you wave a flag over your head? Why don't you shoot off fireworks out of your behind? Like, you're showing everybody that it's me. I'm doing this. Like, you're pointing to yourself.
Right.
And it's like, it's so ignorant that that Severin Baldwin allegedly would actually go so far as to commit this. Yo, Severin, like, if you had if you wanted to quit to have other suits about this whole quit claim issue, that should have been handled last year. Like, for you to go back because you're mad because you're not able to make traction that you want to make against me in Georgia, so you're going to double back and try to file a civil claim to try to take something from me and via your corporation. Come on, sir, that's just dumb. Like, so that's what they're doing. But see, this is the thing. Like I said, every battle, all these things that are won, because eventually it's like, I don't understand how they don't understand that this ends in loss.
Right.
Not for me, because, I'm not a criminal. Like, I'm seriously not a criminal. Nothing that I've done is criminal. So this is going to end in loss for them because it's wrongful foreclosure. It's wrongful daggone prosecution. That means dollar signs. That actually transmits to dollar signs for me. And how you don't see that that is going to be the end outcome of this, I don't get it.
Right.
I don't get it. I don't get how we see. Even if you send me to jail, I'm gonna come out and be paid. Right? Like, how do they not?
Right.
There's nothing. All of this is going to end up in loss for you because I'm gonna end up using the time to escalate things to other obscene levels while I'm sitting on the daggone government's check, in a daggone prison. If that was to ever happen, which ain't gonna happen, but if it was to happen, that, really, come on. I've thought this through. You're full of this. Like, this is ridiculous.
Okay.
So, you know what I'm saying? So the reality is, worst case, you're always going to end up being the loser because y'all are the liars and the criminals. And what they're like thinking is that for some reason, by you doing things to me, all of a sudden, I'm going to have amnesia and forget all of this. And forget everything that we're owed and everything that belongs to us, and forget that we should fight for it and it would all end. Now, I don't understand how they think that's going to happen, but it's not 1970, it's not 1900, and it's not 1818. It ain't going to happen like that. It's not going to happen like that. And this is the other thing that they don't realize. You're not as good as your daddy.
Right.
You're not.
Right.
The people that are my peers today are not as good as their parents. And I can't say I'm as good as my parent, but they definitely ain't as good as their parent. Okay. So the fact is, you ain't got the fortitude or the know-how to get to do any of this. You ain't got the cool or the slickness to get this stuff done. Now, I mean, I think that my fathers, my aunties, they were not of the mindset to even go anywhere near dealing with the fight that I'm dealing with. There's no way. I can't. Of everybody I love dearly, there's none of them that would have taken this on like I'm taking it on. I know that. Doesn't make them worse, but it just means it wasn't the time, right? This is the time. And everything I've gone through, from being a Girl Scout leader, from daggone being a nurse and dealing with all kinds of craziness and crazy daggone jobs, and being a leader and building up things and creating things out of nothing, and starting CVICUs and all this crazy daggone. Yeah, y'all might think it's crazy. I've done a lot of damn different things and I've moved around a lot, but all this stuff has made me nimble and fit for this fight. So you can't regret anything that you're going through, no matter how bad it is, because it gets you fit for what your purpose is. So, you know what I'm saying? It makes you fit for that. So that's what it is. I mean, does that make sense?
Yes, totally. Yeah.
There are some things, like, you know what I'm saying, that we need those words, because like we were talking about, the fact of, non-consenting, that's an important word to use, to say that you are, that to nullify their jurisdiction. Those are important things to say. But and it's all wordsmithery and witchcraft. We understand that law is all witchcraft and demonic words and symbolism and stuff. Like, it's not justice. It's actually, evil. It's actually witchcraft, because if you have to understand that justice is fair. Justice is loving. It's clear. It's, so let's say if you said, yeah, Lisa, I'm a non whatever Indian, and I said, oh no, you didn't say the right word, so therefore you don't get to be an Accawmacke. That's what the law does, right? It says sorry, so and so, you didn't use the right word, so you don't get to be an Accawmacke. That's not lawful, or what I'm saying?
Right.
When you know that what someone means, and it means the same thing, but you are use it as a loophole to not grant them what they have a right to have, you got to understand that the law is not just.
Right.
And once we understand that the law is not just, and we understand fully that we are above the law, not in a wicked way, not in like, yeah, I'm gonna defy the law, boom, boom, boom. No, but like in we predate y'all, and
Well,
y'all are,
because we are the law.
we are the law. We predate
Right.
y'all, and you corrupted what
Right.
we had here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And see, the fact is that we're being sold this line of bull about being transported from Africa and all this stuff that ain't no grandma never said we black or African, never. Okay. Like they
Yeah,
would
for
roll
sure.
over on that.
None
Okay.
of my grandparents.
None of them would ever say that. Okay. We was always here. We was Indian. We was, but never. No, they had no out of Africa story. And you got to understand people that got stories are going to have an origin story of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if there is no out of African story in your family, then that ain't a thing. Okay. Also, anyway, so we could keep going, but yeah, so that's the thing. So it is about knowing that we are who we are. We have our rights. We have it's all there. It's just a matter of packaging ourselves in the proper way, having our full understanding, and all standing on that same foot. You know what I mean? Getting on that good foot.
Right.
We all got to get on that good foot together. Okay. So I was kind of motivated today to talk about the tea tax and the Revolutionary War, and a little bit about the fact that they, they keep on doing the same thing to us over and over again. They just lie. They get us to get behind something, and it turns out to be nothing of what they say it is, right? So we thought that they was fighting over something else. I don't know if it was T-Tech. I kind of don't believe that was even the T-Tex that they told us about. But because if anybody knows these people, they don't care about no daggone tea, and they definitely ain't gonna care about no tea tax, because to this day they don't drink no tea in Boston, and to this day it probably would have been about rum or some other liquor, but whiskey tax, I would have been like, yeah, they probably was fighting about that. They would have been fighting in Boston about some whiskey tax, but tea tax, no sir. So the fact that we got our own people to get us to line up, what is it, Prince Hall, and others of that Moorish ilk, to get us involved in this war on both sides. That was about them coming for us. So when we saw these ships coming from all over, France, Italy, Germany, all these ships was coming to our shores, and it was supposed to be just about the traders and the people from Britain. Now understand, we don't never call these people that stay here traders, which that's what they are though, right? They were supposed to be here working for a company, and then they sit up there and say, well, we ain't leaving, and we taking over the company.
Right.
So y'all think that they're going to Britain to sit up? Okay. Really? They still paying Britain. Britain still gets paid. As a matter of fact, my friend Amani was saying something about when he travels Europe, he gets a second tax. And it's like, it's some kind of like European, because he's actually a French Huguenot. So he gets like a secondary tax, like a British tax of some sort. So, and he would have to explain it. He could explain it better than I can, of course. But basically, yeah. So basically, yeah, they are still getting paid. And also the Commonwealth, y'all, please, why? If it's United States, is Virginia, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, why are they Commonwealths? What is that? Huh? You gonna tell me? And so if you look it up, they'll say, oh, Britain has like financial interest in like the coal and other industries in Virginia. Come on now. Britain has their hand deep in the pockets of Virginia. Mm-hmm. Which is another reason why I'm being battled as strong as I am. That's why Furlong is pictured shaking hands with the prime minister of Great Britain? You think it's because he was a great businessman, or is it because he is sitting on top of the daggone premier property of the Accawmacke? You think,
Right.
what do you think it is? You know what I mean? No. See, they're hiding the true history. That's why Furlong had that level of respect, is because they came in and actually, you know, covered up the historical truths with their lives. And that is a duty to not just this country, but to the whole world, because everybody came on our shores and benefited from the United States from the inception. The Revolutionary War allowed the first daggone wave of these real Caucasian Europeans to start coming over.
Right.
It was that war that they started coming. They weren't here before. So when we look at those 1600 records, that ain't them. Nay, what you got to say?
Kind of want us to show some stuff, but I'm still trying to collect information. I'm almost done though.
Okay, that's fine.
I got a few slides put together. Just keep going, but I'm almost done, and I'll be ready to present.
Okay, cool. So, but yeah, so this whole T-tax thing, they use that as a ruse. And this is the thing why you know it's the ruse. Why? Because, okay, and I'm gonna do this quick, and then we can kind of go deep into it if we want to. It's a ruse because you can tell what happened after the war, right? So after the Revolutionary War, what happened? Well, you got these Moroccans or Moors that claim that this is Moorish America. Baby, you can't say that it's your country and you friggin', you destroyed it. It's not your country, sir. You're the one who handed it over to this damn corporation. So it ain't your country. You can tell because what does the Treaty of Peace, what is it called? Peace and friendship. Peace and friendship. Who was that for? Is it for the Indians? Is it a treaty with the owners, right? Is it a treaty with the landlords, the owners of the country? Is it a treaty with the Accawmacke? No. They didn't make a treaty with the indigenous people. They made a treaty with the traders of Britain, right? The invading traders of Britain. They made a treaty. Why would you in Morocco be the first one to raise your hand, or you Moors raise your hand to co-sign with the people that are coming to our territory to take it over? And why would we proudly declare ourselves Moors? Now, some of you might really have a lineage of being those treacherous Moors that took the land from the Indians. You might be that. But don't go and try to be proud of it and act like this is your land. You can't have it both ways. Right? That
and
doesn't
it's not
work.
a bloodline, as some of them state, as if it's a bloodline. It's not. It's just a group of idiots who were about lies and foolery.
So yeah, and so the other thing, that the other major proof of the whole fact that this was an act of treason, and we and we started seeing these people coming that we didn't expect to be coming to the party here. Like we didn't expect to see all these nations showing up here and not leaving, right? So the treachery was like deep. And then the treaty immediately precedes the war, which is very, very telling. You have to understand, when they teach us things in a disjointed way, they mistell it. That's why it doesn't make sense. It doesn't flow, right? Because they give you piecemeal information unconnected. You got to understand that the crown didn't come to America to rule. The people that is in power in Britain and in Europe didn't come here to rule. No. This is a cash cow. Some colonialists, right? Some of them came as investors, right? But from some of the nobles, but they didn't come here to be here. They got their stuff. They got beautiful land in Britain. They got beautiful land in Ireland and Scotland and Germany and all these places. They didn't come here for that. They got their status. They got everything. The people that came here were merchants, laborers, religious weirdos, adventurers, a lot of people from the wars, a lot of soldiers, servants. But what they really not saying is people that the majority were orphans who were granted our surnames. Orphans who were granted our surnames. And prisoners who took our surnames because your name meant, see, people's names meant something. If you're nobility, that name meant something. They got crests and all that. I'm proud of my family, you know. But if you're a broke, you know, a prisoner, you had nothing, right? You had nothing, and your name meant nothing. But you were gonna come here. You're gonna try to have a fresh start. So they took on new names, baby. These people took on new names. You're not gonna come out of prison and keep your old dirty prisoner name. You know, that's the thing. So that's the point. So did the crown come to America? No, it didn't. So in records, when we see the crown or crown patents, they like to push the assumption that that meant the patents were created by England, by Britain. No. Now, if Britain or England or Europe had patents, they would have patents, baby. The patents that were created, when you really look back and dig and really inquire, patents predate these colonial traders. Chief Virginia, and from the 1500s, was creating patents from daggone Nova Scotia, Chicago, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, a little bit. Maryland, of course, Virginia, North Carolina. North Carolina, not South, but Georgia and Alabama. He was creating patents all over the place. So the crown, see, our understanding of, they give us a false representation of the indigenous people that were here. We were advanced people. Our people have been traveling to Europe. Our people know how to speak various languages, because this was and is the source. This is the trade spot. What people were trying to get to damn Bangladesh. Ain't nobody trying to find a short route to Bangladesh to this day. That's not the source area, okay? No matter what they got. Ain't nobody trying to go there. They definitely ain't trying to move there, and they ain't trying to own it. I mean, certain truths are consistent. This has always been a coveted destination, a place that people wanted to have and wanted to have the things that are here. So you got to understand that ain't nobody got lost and ended up in America. This from the early thousands, Vikings and whoever had the guts to daggone explore was running up into daggone America trying to get stuff. At least the Vikings had the wherewithal to go take their butts on back. And you can see the evidence of Vikings having been here, because some of their structures look like those old structures from us. So they copied our house building techniques in whatever, their territories, right? So yeah, no, we no. So these patents are actually, we were power broking. When you look in the colonial records, the court records, like we talked about yesterday a bit, we have to understand that the people in those court things, whether it was a marital dispute or whether it was, these were Indians, these were us. These surnames were our surnames. So in the early 1600s, they try to act like those are colonial court records. Baby, no, those are pre-colonial court records. Those are indigenous court records. And that's why I was really, really impressed and so happy with the theater group in New York that contacted me a few years back asking about the Accawmacke, because they're going to do that play, Ye Bear, Ye Cub. And they wanted to get, my perspective on this as they wrote the script. And I was like, baby boo, you got to have Negroes in the play because we're Negroes. And if the fact that the play was done in our courthouse, which was also the tavern, we would be the owner of that tavern in that courthouse. That would be us. And you just have to make sure to involve us because we are the Indians, right? And then the fact that they actually did something really, see, when good people do good things, it's an amazing thing. And good people are Caucasian, good people are all different races, but when people are demonic, it's a horrible thing. And they could look just like you, they could be in your family, but when they are good, and it doesn't matter what color they are, when they are bad, it doesn't matter what color or race they are. Okay. But the most important thing in this lifetime right now, and this time and place in history, is that good people got to stand up. You got to stop sitting down and being silent. Good white people speak. I'm going to say it every live I do, every day that I do one from now on. Good white people, you need to stand up and stop being silent and consenting to the bull. You got to stop, because good white people can change things. An objection from a good white person can change a lot. But when you are silent, you are part of the demon scheme. You are at war against us too when you're silent. Your silence is killing us, literally. So stop being silent. Stop consenting. But the people in the play had never, it was a Caucasian theater group. They never had any Indians be on part of their cast. They never had us, right? And they did it. They hired like 4 actors like us. And I was in tears because I was like, gosh, 4 people got jobs that they wouldn't have been able to get for the first time. And then, once you actually get a job with a theater group and you jive with them and y'all get along, then that opens the door to you working with them again, or them hiring another one and another person that looks like you. So it opened a door that had not been opened, and I was blown away. Now, at the end, they tried to insert some African stuff, and I really wasn't feeling that because I guess in their minds, they couldn't get around the fact that we have to be mixed with African, which is really absurd because they don't say that about themselves now, do they? Nor do they teach that they were the actual slaves. The majority of slaves that was, well, really all the import of slaves was them as orphans and as prisoners. They were the mass import of slavery. But anyway, I digress. So basically, we have to understand that these courts and the whole judiciary, where we could stand and say, okay, we're having a conflict as husband and wife. We're having a conflict as neighbors. We're having a conflict as brothers. We're having a conflict as, whatever, landowners. We're having a conflict as you're my master or so-called boss. We actually have to understand that master was a boss. Boss man was master. It was indentured. It was a contract job. It was not chattel slavery, especially to begin with. They legislated into slavery by debt servitude, could actually, they would purposely turn that into forever slavery. If you weren't born of a Christian mother, they made laws. If you're not born of a Christian parenthood, you're forever slave. So it was legislated. We were legislated, and also war. If you're a prisoner of war, forever slave, no doubt about it. So that's how they created forever slaves, right? It wasn't that to begin with. And we would have our family listed as our slaves on slave rolls. So it was a tax thing. It's very, very complex, but I don't know if they changed the word to slaves to try to create slave rolls, because that could be it. Because you see, they rename things. So when we're seeing slave rolls, maybe family tax rolls that they just renamed because they're trying to hide the fact that we had such a thing. Make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
So
That's a wild picture.
thank you. Yes. So yeah. So this is I wanted to kind of put out there, how, lynch deed. So I was thinking about my situation, and I felt like it was a deed lynching, right? Because they're attacking my deeds here in Georgia, but my deeds have been under attack since 2018, which I didn't know that they had put fraudulent information, and I was paying people for 15 years that didn't have a right to take payments from me on my house. 15 years I paid folks. Outside of 15 years. So it's been over 30 years, but for the last 15, it was to people that did not have authority to be taking payments on my house, right? So I was like thinking, title of a story or whatever, deed lynching, right? And I like put it in to Google, and Google said deed lynch. Yeah, that's a term. I was like, what? It's a real term, y'all. It's a real term. Yes, it is. So yeah, deed lynching is something that they actually have done against us, as far as, taking over our patented land and creating these deeds. This is it's a very true thing. So this is a historical thing. So the fact that they're doing it in 2025 with me, they've been doing this since they're going to 1600s or 1700s against us. Like, this is not new. And the fact that these states have these drive-through laws where it's non-judicial foreclosure and stuff like this, it facilitates this. And the thing about us and the thing about people is Caucasian people will fight. They'll speak up on stuff. They even embarrasses them. They'll do that. But us Indians, we get that shame and we get quiet. We don't talk about it. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about it. So what happens is it goes unspoken and it goes unaddressed. Well, I'm here to tell you that we need to address this, okay? Because all those people who lost homes with the Obama regime and the so-called bank failing and all that kind of stuff, most of those people, and it wasn't the balloon loans that was behind it. It was some deed lynching that was going on, I guarantee. And probably most of the people that they were paying those balloon payments to didn't have no authority to be taking them. But because you're so full of shame and you're so shut down and you're just like, I just need to get past this, you don't even fight it. You don't even look. Look at it. Look at what they found on you. Look what it says. Is it real or is it not? We're going to get into exactly how fraud my stuff is so crazy. Y'all going to trip, but not today. In the future, another day, we're going to talk about that. Nay, you ready? Nay?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay, now my last thing I'm going to say is this. The other reason you know that the whole Revolutionary War was a whole farce is not just the fact that who signed, who did they get to sign, who signed a treaty of peace and friendship, was after they signed the same time. Sorry, the same year, y'all, 1787, that the Treaty of Peace and Friendship was signed. That's when they signed to send the Accawmacke to Nova Scotia. They sent us on a ship, shipped us to Nova Scotia because they said, oh, you know what? Y'all ain't safe on your land no more because, you know, you are loyalists to the crown of England. And so we lost. And so maybe you might want to get gone, you know, just for the time being. That's how they got us up. The real wealthy ones is, you know, that's the ones they targeted. The real big landholders were the ones that were targeted on and put on these ships and taken the daggone Nova Scotia. But that didn't end there because we was coming back. Because you know why? We had money. You know what I mean? We had wherewithal. We had mechanisms. So that wasn't holding us. So they had to take it further. So they started shipping us to Africa. And nobody's teaching us about how in Virginia we were mass shipped to Africa on like how many occasions, like 4 or more occasions. They mass shipped us to Africa. They mass shipped us from the Eastern Shore. They mass shipped us from Portsmouth. They mass shipped us from Petersburg. They mass shipped us from daggone Norfolk and Newport News to Liberia. Oh, they made sure, because see, we are the Confederacy. We are the Accawmacke. So this is a big deal. We own a lot of territory beyond Virginia because Virginia was a massive territory. Virginia. It's not named after the England. It's named after our chief. Virginia. Okay. So basically, they wanted to get rid of these Indians that could somehow reclaim anything. So that's why a mass deportation a mass removal happened multiple times in Virginia, but we're not taught about that. But there also was a mass removals in South Carolina, and the Smithsonian, if you Google it, I don't know if it's still Googleable because they hide a lot, but I do have a slide that shows the article that says more Indians were removed from South Carolina than there were ever Africans brought in. Hello, you go ahead now.
Do it. Okay, so
I'm gonna remove mine from the stage.
Let's start. First thing I want to do is talk about the. Let me start. Can I present? How do I present? Okay. I'm just gonna share this one. How do I? No. Do I just share it?
Yeah. Are you? Which one is it? I can put it up there if you want. Which one is it?
It is the Powhatan one. That's the first one.
Okay, got you. Okay, I got it.
Okay, so let's get into this. Right? It was the name of an Indian. This is from Louisiana Place Names of Indian Origin. This is with the book where I got this information. Each one's going to be different. It says Powhatan was the name of the Indian village, which was situated on the eminence about a mile below the falls of James River in Virginia. The name was also bestowed by the English colonists of Jamestown on the noted chief and founder of the Powhatan Confederacy, but it's really Accawmacke. It's in the name, descendant Accawmacke, blah, blah, blah. A large group of Indian tribes that occupied the Tidewater region in Virginia. Powhatan died 1618, but then there's something with that as well. 1616, we'll get into that later. Powhatan is derived from the Algonquin term powwow, priest, sorcerer, or medicine man. Aten is hill or mountain. Compare the etymology of powwow. Powhatan signifies the hill of the medicine man. It was on the hill that then Powhatan, who himself was the chief sorcerer or medicine man, conducted his mysterious rites. The derivation of Powhatan from now see that's I don't know about the Southern Lenape shit. That's weird. We don't know about that. Let's not even worry about that. But there is a village in Louisiana on the Texas and Pacific Railroad.
They're just talking about a water, the name of a waterway, which
Okay, a Lenape
yeah,
Powhatan stream. Okay. So
yeah.
yeah, this is the meaning. This little middle paragraph, right? Powwow, Powwow priest. That is a title. He said he's a chief sorcerer, right? Now, let's get into what's the next one? Let's get into
Okay, well,
Accawmacke meaning.
okay, let me find that. Accawmacke meaning. There we go. Okay. Oh, sorry. I thought that was it. Yeah. Okay.
All
Got
right.
it.
Yep. Accawmacke means the other side place, on the other side of water. In the Massachusetts language, Okomi, Akawanin means beyond, Akai, Aki, and various Algonquin dialects means land. According to W.M. Jones, the term probably akin to Chippewa, Ugemi, or other shore to the Sup and Fox Chickapu, Uagami, Ing, in one case, Gi, and other variation, the same suffix express place where. The Virginia Peninsula was not the only locality named Accawmacke by the Indians who are referring to different places in New England in 1614. Smith called the present site of Plymouth Accawmacke in reference to the various Indian settlements along the New England coast. He wrote, "The next I can remember, the Matahawk, then the Tottons, then Accawmacke, then Chowan. And in this general description, the country can be found of the country to be found the following passage. Then you come to Accawmacke, excellent good harbor, good land, and no one of anything industrious people." Later on, Smith mentions Prince Charles changed the name of Accawmacke to Plymouth as late as 1640. And then I have Accawmacke. Do I have another one? Should I have another one? Or did I delete it? Let me add it because I had another part that was real crucial. Yeah, I'm going to add it right now.
Hmm.
All right. And it should say Accawmacke continued.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. All right. Accawmacke as applied to the country about Plymouth, Massachusetts, was among the Englanders and the Indians illustrated the following. Owasamaskin, the Shechem of Accawmacke on this side of Connecticut, came to the governor except, right? So there was a Shechem named Osawasamaskin of Accawmacke in Connecticut. This similarity in names of the New England and Eastern Shore Indians indicate a close relationship between the Powhatans and Massachusetts.
Right. Exactly. And then they want to call them Powhatans because they really want to erase the Accawmacke, even though right there it says the Shechem of Accawmacke. So the Accawmackes are the Powhatans, not, and then they want to minimize it and say like, oh, we're a part of the Confederacy. Boo, we did not pay tribute. We didn't pay tribute because we are the Powhatans or the head of the Confederacy. We are the Confederacy. It really is the Accawmacke Confederacy, but they minimize it by actually putting it under the name of a title of a chief, right? Which is just a title of chief.
A title of a sorcerer chief.
Of a sorcerer chief that came after a couple of generations of chiefs that already were running this Confederacy. So he is the child of the Accawmacke that John Smith met, that tried, or whoever will give him a little bit of credibility that maybe because he was met by certain people of his generation, they gave him his name, the whole name of the entire nation. But I really feel like it's what they usually do is hide the powerful people, hide the truth, hide the people that are connected to the land so that they can erase our connection and rights to these territories. So There you go. All the way to Maine, New England, Massachusetts. Really? All of that. All the way there. And then we do understand that our cousins in Nova Scotia contacted us, and we understand that we have connections there and our surnames because of and because we are, it's all part of this. It's all part of an interconnected territory. We didn't have divisions of states. We didn't have divisions of countries. So we fully roamed up and down, and we didn't have to walk. We had ships. We have the best wood for ships, right? Noah's Ark, that wood is only found in Florida. We have the world's best wood for shipbuilding. We are historically the world's best shipbuilders, period. And brick makers. I'm telling you, y'all, this is the source country. So with that being the case, I was like, well, how long does it take them to bring us from the Eastern Shore to Nova Scotia? And they were like, oh, like 12 days. Okay, so it's a 12-day trip by boat at that time with a 1787 boat. Okay, it would have taken to walk, what they say, like 55 days to walk it, something like that, depending on the terrain and all that.
Go to image 2025-06.
Let me see. Oh, why am I not able? I'm doing it. Oh, 2020. You say, what does it say?
Image 2025-06.
Image. Yeah, there it is. Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah.
Accawmacke Indians, possibly related to the Chippewa, locally expression referring to where land and water meet, hence shore, blah, blah, blah. Small tribe of the Pennacook Confederacy, commonly called Agamenticus or Accawmacke. Occupied a village in the same name, present York County, Maine, to which Boston was given. Some early Captain John Smith says the people in the place were allied north of them, subject to the banshees of the Presnabad. Some would say Accawmacke Confederacy. The others, not generally, apparently correctly included Pennacook Confederacy. But a lot of times they don't really know because they erase a lot. But go to screenshot 2024.
Okay. If y'all are liking what this information, please thumbs up, give us a like, give us a share, please, if you are, and give us a comment. Put some comments in, questions, comments. Which one am I screen sharing?
Screenshot 2024. 11.
2024 11. Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right. This was from John Smith's book, and it shows all the original indigenous place names. You see, Accawmacke was Boston, Accawmacke was Plymouth. But you see a bunch of other names changed over to, Charles and Chivot and all these different ones.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And you see Cape Ann.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. But see, this is the thing. We have to know this. And we also, this is the kind of information, but that's why I'm letting y'all daggone thieving, racketeering, daggone criminal, corrupted corporations. This ain't going to go nowhere. This is not something you can sidestep and it's going to go anywhere. We're deep steeped in this information. We're deep steeped in our daggone reclamation. We're deep steeped in our restitution. We're deep steeped in this knowledge of who we are. You cannot act like this is just going to go away if you just daggone beat me and daggone try to daggone frustrate me and make me sad. Because sadness doesn't stop me. That doesn't stop anything. So go ahead. It's not going to work. All you're doing is creating a bigger hole for yourselves because we are entrenched in our identity, entrenched in our rights, and entrenched in the information. So there's no going back, sirs and madams.
Go to Accawmacke PNG.
I didn't do
That's
that.
cool too.
I
This is
did that.
from a map from like 1676.
Mhm.
You can find it on Historic Pictoric.
They have that in the courthouse in the daggone land records room. See, at the same time, they are putting me in and trying to put me in jail, label me as a criminal. Because you know why? Because they want to scare all of you that are listening. Anyone that's in reach of my ear, they want to say, don't be like that crazy woman. You're going to end up with 51 indictments. And then you got dumb, bumble, Clyde Negroes out there trying to dare go, oh no, that's terrible. Ooh, ooh, ooh. No, they're paid to be either. If they're not paid to be ignorant, I hope they're paid. I pray. I hope that they are being paid for being that dumb and that daggone ridiculous. However, if they're not being paid, then that's just sad because they at least deserve a check for that performance of foolishness and that deception, that kind of level of deception on against their own. Well, maybe they're not us. Well, against the indigenous people, I'll say, because the indigenous people need to know. They need to know our true rights and the fact that we are able to move in the way that I'm moving. There's nothing corrupt about it. There's nothing illegal about it. And there's nothing to be afraid about it, especially after I finish fighting these suckers, because that is what it is. It can only establish that they are liars and thieves. It can only establish what they are, because you can't make up enough lies to make your lies true. You just can't. That's just basic. They cannot lie enough to make what they're saying about me true. They cannot lie enough to make a quick claim a crime. They cannot lie enough to make a daggone patent not exist. Because the quick claim don't mean nothing, boo-boo, because the patent is the receipt and the title. And that is always right here. Accawmacke. So this map that you're talking about, that's
Go
why
to Accawmacke's PNG.
Yeah, I will. But that map, like I said, is in the courthouse in the record. They're probably going to take it down tomorrow. It's been up forever, right? This map is in the courthouse in the records department. They got directions to find our patents. They think it's cute. Our history is cute when it ain't us. Our history is cute when we don't know about it. Our history is quaint and so interesting when it's about some fictitious people that are long gone. But when it's about living, breathing Negro Indians that always been here, all of a sudden, it's a dirty word that don't exist. And you ain't nothing but a daggone sovereign citizen trying to get something for nothing. That's what it becomes when you really reclaim what has been stolen and you really seek justice. But good people have to stand up. And you can't have these turncoats in your community that are going around calling themselves African and going around saying, well, we're mixed African. Stop it. You ain't got no evidence of that. Why are you claiming something that's never been said about the Eastern Shore Indians ever? You're doing that at the behest and because you're being daggone given money or you're being threatened by these daggone rednecks. Stand up. Have a daggone backbone.
All right, so this is Indian names of Boston. In the region of Boston, he says the name was anciently Accawmacke. It is not difficult to analyze its name. It is the same Abenaki name, Accawmacke, Accawmacke. And if you looked at Accawmacke from what I showed earlier, similar linguistics. It's just, as you'll see, Accawm means beyond, man, men means elevation or abrupt rising from water or plain, tuck, tidal river, cove, us means little. Accawmacke means beyond the hill, little cove. So You have Accawmacke, Accawmacke, but it's a similar name, similar linguistics, except, and you see that there's hills. So Powhatan, it was the priest, medicine man on the hill, Accawmacke, beyond the little hill cove. Like there's a lot of stuff dealing with hills
Right.
in the language across the water.
Mm-hmm.
So beyond the little hill cove, across the water, people like, Powhatan is hill. I think Hotton is hill, something like that. So it all kind of connects. Go to Revel's Black Rotted Rascal.
Rebel, that's a major, that's the name that's been usurped in the court records for a lot of deed thieving.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, see, when I started my litigation, Rebel was a judge. He stepped down and retired. I named hit the fact that he was taking land from people current day, taking land, giving it for $0 to other people. They are just wicked, I tell you. Rebels rotted. Okay.
All right. So there's two court records from here. This is from the Kingdom of Accawmacke from the old court records. We can read both. I think this is a different one where I think this is like the beginning is, I think, a husband and wife or some Karen from that time period, but a dark skinned one. On February 19th, 1634, John Whitman, age 24, Randall Revel, age 21 years old, and John Ford, age 25 years old, or their whereabouts sworn and examined, they say they heard Henry Charlton say that if he had had Mr. Cotton, the minister, without the churchyard, he would have kicked him over the palazoos, calling of him black rotted rascal.
There you go. There you go. See? There you go. There you go. See, what we assume that we are seeing in these early records are white tees or Caucasian people. Nah, they're not. Because we assume that we're just slaves. We assume that we are just African imports. We are under this daggone misconception of being chattel, not being landowners, not being doing stuff in society, having real serious civilized problems and just issues. No, we don't know this. We don't know true history. But they tell us it's right there in plain sight for now. But we don't even see it to know that it's us. See, that's the thing. That's very interesting. Love that.
Yeah, so they pretty much said he has to ask him for forgiveness. Now this one, at this court, Edward Drew preferred a petition against Joanne Butler for calling his wife ... a raggedy beep beep beep, whatever it can be. And upon due examination of his dispositions of John Holloway and woman Beasley, who affirmeth the same on oath to be true, that say Joanne Butler used these words. Upon due examination, it thought fit by this board and said Joanne Butler do acknowledge she have called Mary Drew a raggedy beep beep beep. And hereby I confess I have done her manifest wrong, wherefore I desire before this congregation that said the Marie Drew forgive me, and also this congregation will join and pray with me that God may forgive me. The penalty provided by the court in case Joanne should fail to retract her rash statements as directed was that she be drawn across King's Creek at the stern of a canoe.
Say it again. In your own words.
So pretty much they said you can apologize or we gonna drag you across King's Creek with this canoe. Which one you want to do?
Oh wow! Is it Kings Creek? Is it Kings Creek over there by Cherrystone? That's Cherrystone, ain't it? Kings Creek is
Yeah,
Cherrystone.
I
It's
believe
over there
so.
right by Air Hall. That's that creek.
Yep.
Yeah, so funny. And it's really great when you can put it into real life context, right? That's pretty cool.
Go to a colored place name thingy.
Here we go.
All right. So this is from Dictionary of American Indian Place and Proper Names of New England of many interpretations. Now you look at the highlighted, there's a lot of black. Poquanum, Black Will, Shechem, who sold territory allegedly at Nahant for a suit of clothes. This is in like the New England region, right? You got Black Will called also Black William called Manmanta Mamataqua, second of Saugus Lynn, said to married daughter of Pasquanaway, and they show him again. And you also have Black Will. So he called himself Black Will. He had a regular Indian name, but he was preferred to call himself Black Will.
Mm-hmm.
Are proper in Indian place names in New England, and
Uh-huh.
they call themselves dark skin. So you
Right.
have in Eastern Shore in the 1600s,
Right.
uh, Mr. Cotton being called a black rotted rascal. You
Right.
got Panaquam, Black Will, and you got Matanqua, Black William.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You
It's
know what's funny
definitely
is this is the New England stuff. So you see that they have Narragansett as Palpitamet. So it's like really funny. See, so in reality, like when the him who shall not be named sidestepped the Narragansetts and instead said that there's no H's, which really kind of demeans his grandfather, who actually was a chief of so-called the Narragansetts, and it means that means the Narragansetts are ignorant or something, or they're wrong. It would have been better to call his people the Papaneamet, the Papaneamet. Then that way you're actually historically correct. You're not making your grandfather look like a weirdo liar, and when you're sidestepping your actual, you know, lineage. So there you go. The information was there. Just But what see the reason that was the Narragansett thing was used was because there's this linguist chick that wrote a book, and she's just one of these people that go to college and then decide to do a thesis or something on whatever. And so this linguist chick was saying that, oh no, there were no H's, which is really stupid. Like there were no R's. Like, like dogs didn't go, roar. How do you not have R sounds? That just doesn't make any sense. Like that's dumb. So anyway, that's where they got that whole idea of, well, there can't be any Narragansetts because there's no R sounds in our language. Oh, really? That's dumb. Anyway, so that's how that. But anyway, it's very interesting to see that they actually have names for the Narragansett, and for Narragansett that's not Naha, but actually something quite different that is actually from their actual historical language and lineage. So would have been better to use that.
So go to photo 2025-06-28.
Photo what?
20. It says photo 2025. It's the only one that says photo 2025.
Oh, it says photo on it.
Mm-hmm.
I see a screenshot. I don't see that. Oh yeah, I do. Sorry. I don't know why I didn't see that. It's right next to Tola. Okay.
Right. This is Indian place names of Long Island. Accawmacke, the neck of land on which is situated village of Bellport, Brookhaven town. This name first mentioned on an Indian deed of 1664 concerning a parcel of land lying upon the south side of Long Island, being bound on the south with Grant Bay and on the west of with fresh pond adjoining to a place commonly called Accawmacke,
A combo whack. Uh-huh.
Accawmacke.
Yeah.
So variations are Old Combaback, or Cahoncomback, Combomaback. So like yeah, and then it signifies over against the fishing place. First section of Ocombe, parallel Massachusetts, Ogomi, Chippewa, and there's another one. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I have a whole list of where you can find it, and it's everywhere. It's
Right.
literally everywhere. Like, let's go to 6796 or yeah, 3679 image
I'm gonna find
screenshot.
it. I'm gonna find it. Okay, 3 seconds. Yep, that's that one.
All right, this is from C. C.A. Wessler, Nanticoke. As we turn to the Nanticoke proper, who's originally resided on the peninsula east of the Chesapeake Bay, we see how hostility between this tribe and the colony of Maryland continued between 1642 to 1678, was settled by a treaty, which treaties can be sus, and reaffirmed in 1687. All this could be, questionable. Um,
Thank you, KW. Thank you, Dagon J. Smith. Appreciate it.
according to the Virginia historian, about a population of 500 from Nandagulg, and the principal village of 100 rode over the Empress southward to, damn it, I can't even see it, to, wait, the other one, I got to find the other screenshot. Let's go to the other one. Let's go to Accawmacke, which is image 4781.
Oh, I'm supposed to be doing something, right? Okay. I was in there looking at the chat. Oh, it's called what? Comac?
4781. Image 4781.
There it is. Okay. Yeah.
So this is from a map from the 1500s. I'm actually going to share it in the chat
Nice.
if I can. But
Mm-hmm.
this is from 1590. And if you go to maps like later, you're only probably going to just find two places that have names, their own names. So this is us right
That's
here.
our Eastern Shore, right? That's right
Yeah,
there.
that's on Eastern Shore.
That's like actually that's like Cape Charles right there, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Cape Charles, yeah.
That's it.
Or it could be Air Hall, but it looks like it's up in there. So that'd be Cape Charles. I think Air Hall would be a little higher one, but that's Cape Charles right there. No. That's over there by Bay Creek. Bay Creek, baby. You know that's our territory. That's so crazy because we only quit claimed a couple of places, and now you are gonna force us to claim the thousands and thousands that are owed to us. That's gonna hurt people. We weren't trying to hurt people, but these corrupt folks won't have it. They won't have it because they don't want to daggone give an inch. Huh? What you got? What I need to do?
You see my screen?
Oh, I ain't showing you. Let me show you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How am I gonna get that? Okay, I gotta fix it. Okay, so yeah. Okay, what are you showing? You showing your screen?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see your screen. You're not showing your screen. What are you trying to show?
Oh wait, let's see.
Stop your camera's off. Yeah.
Can you see it now?
You're not showing you're not showing. Oh, you're trying to share your screen. Is that what you're trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, to share your screen, you have to go to present, right? Or go to present. Then you go to share screen at the bottom, right? And then once you go to share screen at the bottom, you got to go to entire screen. If you want them to see what's actually on your screen at this moment, you go to entire screen and you got to wait a few minutes. Or you can do the Chrome tabs, because if covers is one of the tabs, you can select the tab that is on. But if it's something that you just have laid up on your screen, you got to select the entire screen, and then it takes a little while for it to kind of like filter through it, and then you can pick the screen you want, or the part of your screen you want. Oh, you getting it? I think you're getting it. Screen sharing was canceled. Okay, that was me. I think it's my cancel. But yeah, when you see this as like an ancient map of the Eastern Shore, that's amazing. And then you see the connection. So this is the thing. So the fact that we know that our territory ain't just Virginia, and that you're trying to beat me up as a trustee of the land for the Accawmacke. But the reality is, baby, the trustee of the Accawmacke is not just even Virginia. So what you're fighting me for, there's a whole lot more that we have a right to claim. So, I mean, you can look at it like, oh, well, that's why we got to fight you worse. Or you can look at it as, that's why you need to act respectfully. That's why we need to be respectful of this situation, because it's a very serious situation. Okay. And we can't sit up there and act like you can just bully somebody through it, because it's not going to work like that now. It's 2025. You can't just like do your daggone Klansman bullying and think that stuff's going to work. A Buddha, scared, the boogeyman and the daggone, people in robes ain't going to cut it. Because I don't respect your robes. I know that these robes, whether they're Klansman robes or judge robes, y'all don't respect it. It's not a respectful judiciary. It really isn't. Because just the fact that you make it inaccessible for people without the witchcraft is disrespectful and wrong and despicable. So you got to understand, we can't be giving our respect where there should not be any granted. And because we predate you, the respect goes this way first. Are you ready to put something up?
I tried. I gave up. But you know what's really wild? I was looking at the Ocean Gate stuff, right? And they literally are what Jay Smith said, the direct correlation between stupid and evil, especially when arrogance is the equation. Like, if you look at this Stockton Rush dude and how he was just so vehement about this, oh, we're going to use a hole for experimental submersible to go set 2 miles down to the Titanic, and because I'm rich and I'm a Mayo monster, it's going to work, and I will put people at risk behind it. I will buy congressmen to ensure that what I say goes. I'm not going to get it third party tested for safety because it's an experimental submersible, and he had people paying him $250,000 to go see the Titanic. And his own arrogance and foolishness, similar to the people on the shore was the reason he got taken out by his own design. All he had to do was get a third party tested and actually use a hole for the submersible out of titanium or steel. He refused because he wanted to be cutting edge, and he was cool with Boeing, and he thought it was going to work, and it was actually failing, and they knew it was failing. So when they brought those people on to the experimental submersible, it took him out and people with him.
I'm going to show you a quick thing of that, what you're talking about.
Determination to make the wreck accessible to tourists was matched only by his passion for innovation. The Titan was an experimental craft. It had not been evaluated or classed by any regulatory body, and some of the materials used in its construction were unconventional. In particular, the craft had a hull constructed from carbon fiber, a material which has not been extensively tested or graded for use in submersibles. In 2015, while Rush was designing the Titan, he consulted with submersible company DOER Marine Operations. Its president, Liz Taylor, spoke with ABC News in the aftermath of the Titan's implosion, and what she had to say was astonishing. She told the outlet,
We all told him, someone is going to be killed in this thing, and you've got to not do it.
She also had this to say about the carbon fiber used to construct the hull.
It's not the right material.
Taylor explained that the Marine Technology Society echoed her concerns in a 2018 letter to Rush, but the CEO failed to heed their advice. After repeated dives, the hull was even rebuilt in 2020 due to fatigue, and yet the expeditions to the Titanic continued. Its carbon fiber hull was far from the only questionable aspect of the Titan's design. A November 2022 report by CBS Sunday Morning also revealed some eye-popping details about the craft. Correspondent David Pogue, who had signed on to take the journey to the Titanic, stated outright that he was nervous about the many components of the sub that seemed improvised. For the cameras, Rush pointed out parts of the vessel that he had purchased from RV outlet Camper World. He also outed the craft's off-the-shelf electronics and showed Lodge that the Titan was piloted with a video game controller.
No!
Moreover, the controller interfaced with the steering and propulsion system using Bluetooth as opposed to hard wiring.
Woo!
In the piece's interview segment, Pogue good-naturedly pointed out to Rush, "It seems like this submersible has some elements of MacGyvering jerry-riggedness." Rush took issue with that description and characterized the craft's more unconventional design elements as irrelevant to its capacity for keeping its occupants alive. During that conversation with CBS Sunday Morning, Rush got relatively explicit when talking about the level of engineering that had gone into the Titan's design. Following up on Pogue's assertion that the craft seemed kind of slapped together, Rush said, "There are certain things that you want to be buttoned down. So the pressure vessel is where we worked with Boeing and NASA and the University of Washington." This was not the first time that Rush had invoked those institutions in touting the safety of his design. In fact, a now-defunct page on the company's website asserted that the Titan had been designed and engineered in collaboration with those very entities. This, however, was not accurate. As the search for the Titan was ongoing, all three of those institutions issued public statements distancing themselves from the design and engineering aspects of OceanGate's endeavors. As the Titan was nearing its maiden voyage, one of OceanGate's employees issued a report that should have been a major roadblock to its deployment. David Lockridge carried the title of Director of Marine Operations and was the submersible's chief pilot. In his report, he took Rush to task for failing to properly test the carbon fiber hull. He pointed out that a scale model had displayed prevalent flaws. His report also noted that the carbon fiber of the hull was visibly stressed in a way that could easily lead to catastrophic failure under the enormous pressures of the deep sea. He further stated that the sub's acoustic monitoring system for detecting impending failure was insufficient and would not provide enough advance warning to make a difference. Alarmingly, Lockridge opened his report by stating that its purpose was to establish a written record of his concerns, seeing as they were dismissed when he expressed them verbally. Rush's response to the report was swift. He fired Lockridge and filed a lawsuit against him. The lawsuit claimed that Lockridge had violated his non-disclosure agreement by raising his concerns with the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Lockridge promptly filed a countersuit, and while the dueling suits were eventually settled, those concerns were never properly addressed.
OceanGate shouldn't have been doing what it was doing. I think that's pretty clear.
The assertions made by David Lockridge about the Titan's safety issues were downright diplomatic compared to those made by his former coworker, Rob McCallum. McCallum had previously owned a company that conducted Titanic expeditions and helped plan the Titan's expeditions. However, he departed the company after Rush decided not to have the craft evaluated by classing agencies. In 2018, after hearing of Lockridge's departure, McCallum shot him an email, and what Lockridge had to say floored him. Lockridge wrote, "That sub is not safe to dive. It's a lemon." An alarmed McCallum then emailed Rush to state his concerns. He wrote, "You are wanting to use a prototype unclassed technology in a very hostile place. You are potentially putting an entire industry at risk." Rush's response was both shocking and, in light of the Titan's eventual fate, tragic. He wrote back, "We have heard the baseless cries of 'you are going to kill someone' way too often. I take this as a serious personal insult. If the claims of another unnamed former OceanGate employee are accurate, Stockton Rush's unwillingness to listen to anybody who had anything negative to say about the Titan was symptomatic of a cavalier attitude towards all aspects of the project. In a piece by The New Yorker, the former employee, who was OceanGate's Director of Finance and Administration, revealed that after Lockridge was terminated, she was approached by Rush to take over as the vessel's lead pilot. She told The New Yorker, "It freaked me out that he would want me to be head pilot, since my background is in accounting." She added that at this point, OceanGate was also largely staffed with engineers who were also unqualified. As she noted, some staffers were just teenagers making $15 per hour. Alarmed by the absence of anyone willing to challenge Rush, she began searching for another job. As soon as she got an offer, she quit OceanGate. There are a few more hostile environments than the depths of the ocean. So in building vessels capable of exploring those depths, there are no corners to be cut. That, however, didn't seem to stop Stockton Rush from cutting a few anyway, notably in the design of the Titan's electronics. In fact, those systems were designed not by experienced engineers, but by a team of interns composed of recent graduates of the University of Washington's School of Engineering. Unbelievably, though, this was far from the most significant corner to be cut. In a Travel Weekly blog post, editor-in-chief Arnie Weissman revealed that Rush admitted to him that the carbon fiber used in the Titan's hull was acquired from Boeing at a steep discount.
What?
Rush then told him he was able to get the carbon fiber for a cheaper price because it was past its shelf life for use in aircraft. Rush made the revelations to Weissman ahead of his participation in a planned 2023 Titanic expedition, which was ultimately canceled due to bad weather. It should be noted that private companies that build marine vessels are in no way exempt from regulatory oversight. In order to avoid such oversight, Stockton Rush had to go to some pretty extreme lengths. He did this by taking precautionary measures to ensure that OceanGate would not face serious repercussions, even if its clients were to face injury or death. Those measures, as described in the New Yorker piece, were wide-ranging and numerous. Although the Titan was constructed in the United States, it was registered in the Bahamas and operated only in international waters. So, it was outside the jurisdiction of U.S. law. Furthermore, OceanGate's clients did not purchase its services. They made contributions, so they were not classified as passengers. According to Rob McCallum, the reason for this is simple, as it virtually absolved OceanGate of liability, even if the worst were to happen. He told The New Yorker, "Under U.S. regulations, you can kill crew, but if you kill a passenger, you're in big trouble." And so everyone was classified as a mission specialist.
And we're funded by, we call mission specialists who help support the mission.
One blatant sign of trouble that might have compelled any of the doomed mission specialists to go on Titan's final trip was the large number of folks who did just that. In the years leading up to the disaster, several potential customers canceled their trips, with virtually all of them citing safety concerns as the primary reason. And in the wake of the Titan's disappearance, they began to come forward. Speaking with CNN, Chris Brown explained why he gave up his seat on an expedition after signing on in 2018. He told the network, "I had some reservations about the way it was being constructed. When they weren't even intending to get certification by calling it an experiment, that's when I thought there's just too many red flags here, so I pulled out." Former U.S. Marine Robert Mester also turned down a seat on the Titan, citing the untested nature of its carbon fiber hull. And Las Vegas business mogul Jay Bloom, despite being offered a steep discount on the standard $250,000 admission fee, also declined.
I feel that this was such a preventable tragedy.
The Titan's fateful final mission was not the first time that something had nearly gone terribly wrong. In 2022, as detailed by The New Yorker, a BBC documentary crew was present for one of those missions. On that particular mission, OceanGate Director of Logistics Scott Griffith was piloting the craft with 4 others aboard, while Rush stayed behind on the surface vessel. A diver accompanying the sub for the initial stage of its descent noted that something seemed off with one of its thrusters. However, Rush allowed the dive to continue. Once it touched down on the ocean floor, it became quickly apparent that the diver had been correct. The thruster had been installed improperly. So as the Titan sat in the middle of the Titanic's highly dangerous debris field, all Griffith could do was spin it in circles. From the surface vessel, Rush sent down a solution to remap the video game controller or make the buttons do different things. Rush worked out a new configuration for the controller to make the Titan finally move forward and backward again. The gambit worked, and somehow Griffith managed to pilot the craft over to the remains of the Titanic. Amazingly, the mission was completed without any more serious difficulty. Of all the glaring red flags presented by Stockton Rush and his company in advance of the Titan tragedy, perhaps the most obvious was Rush's repeated insistence that breaking the rules is a good thing. At a GeekWire summit in 2022, he summed up that philosophy succinctly, saying,
If you're not breaking things, you're not innovating. To me, the more stuff you've broken, the more innovative you've been.
However, Rush's most egregious comments came during a November 2022 interview with David Pogue on the Unsung Science podcast. He said, at some point, safety is just pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed. Don't get in your car. Don't do anything. I think I can do this just as safely while breaking the rules. Rush was obviously proven quite wrong.
That's
Some foolishness.
yeah, but that's exactly what we're dealing with in the world today. This this kind of, like Jay said, there's these criminals, the ignorance, the direct correlation between stupid and evil, especially when arrogance. The arrogance of feeling like you're above everyone and everything. That's what's going on the Eastern Shore. That's why they were like, "Oh, where do you live? Where are you still living? Where are you at? What's your address?" They knew that Severin was determined to remove me from my property in Georgia. They know this. They know it. So they were shocked when I said, what do you mean? I'm in Decatur at my address, because that was his mission number one, to remove my personal house. And the fact that it did not happen, and it has not happened to date, has him getting judges to tell the clerks to reject all my filings. In cases that I opened with my hundreds of dollars, $750, I can't file into anything because she's blocking it. That's the kind of corruption that Severin's money can buy. But it's not going to get him what he wants, because it can't buy the truth, and it can't cover up the crimes. Because in order to keep, I don't even know what they're doing with these crimes, but they're perpetuating more crimes to cover up these crimes. That's what it is.
Right.
They're committing more crimes to cover up the original crimes. And it just keeps compiling and compiling. But when they do this and they have an opponent who is going to fight them back, it creates an immense paper trail that is undeniable. And it exposes people that he has hired to commit these crimes. And they were just in it for a buck, an easy buck. That they thought, this nigger ain't gonna do nothing. She ain't just gonna be easy. We just gonna do what we usually do and walk under our usual immunity and false authority and forge the things that we usually forge in these courts, and it's gonna be just great. And it's not. Now what you gonna do? What you gonna do now? It cannot stand the exposure of truth. See, the only way what you all are doing on the Eastern Shore of Virginia and also in Georgia can work is if I was ignorant of what you were doing. That's the only way this is a winning situation for you. If I'm ignorant and I don't know how to counter it, that's the other thing, right? If I don't know how to count, I may not be ignorant, but if I don't know what to do. No lawyer will take my case. You see, then you got me, right? So you need those components to happen. I gotta not know what to do, and I gotta not see what you're doing. You need those two components, and then you need the other component, which is easy because all these lawyers are in cahoots. I can't get nobody to defend me. Okay, that's another component. You already got that under wraps. But you need all those things. Me to not know what to do, me to not see what you're doing, and even if I see what you're doing, me not to know what to do. And then the third thing, your third thing where you were sure you were going to win, that, oh, I can't get nobody to defend me. You got all those under wraps, but guess what? You don't, because I know what the hell they're doing. I know what to do because the ancestors are guiding me, baby. And I'm doing what I need to do to expose you. So now y'all are all exposed. Severin Baldwin's companies have already sent many attorneys to jail. Accountants, attorneys, people who made billions are in jail because of Severin Baldwin's companies. And do you not think a mere clerk can go to jail because of him when they got attorneys going to jail and accountants going to jail and partners going to jail? Do you think as you being a crooked daggone county clerk in DeKalb, you can't go to jail, sister, behind his crookery? They just sent an attorney to jail the other month behind this damn corporation, these corporate racketeers. People that are evil and stupid and corrupt will get you killed. They don't care. You're getting compensated, but it ain't compensation enough because they will ruin your ass. This judge is ruining herself. She's doing all kinds of stuff. Unchecked, unbothered, she thinks. But has anybody come for her like she's getting come for right now? I don't think so. I don't think so. And she's doing things that I'm shocked that a judge would ever do to actually implicate herself. Like, I'm shocked that she's as sloppy and crazy as she is. And they're going DeKalb County. Like, this is not some bohunk town, baby. So I think anybody else have anything, because we did 2 hours and I sure wasn't planning on going this long, but as long as the audience was cool, I'm cool. So we're going to come back and do some more either tomorrow or Sunday, maybe Sunday. And we're going to we're going to dive deeper. We're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill that just passed recently. We're going to talk about, some more law and history as well. We're going to, give you a mix. Because we stand on history, but we move forward with the law. Right?
Right.
Anybody got anything else?
I mean, I'll say.
I think Toloff took off. Is he still?
No, he took off. That's fine. But he's there.
Yeah.
You got anything to say, Toloff?
He might not be there. I just added him back to the stage.
So I'll just say, like that whole thing with Stockton Rush. Keep in mind, these people, if you go to ChatGPT, the Mayo Monsters, the Flower Rangers, there are no policies in place from any European countries to repatriate these people back to Europe. They are not wanted. They are not, nobody wants them, okay? Western Europe, Eastern Europe, nobody's like trying to vouch for them to come home, okay? So they're on the same type of stuff they were on when they got sent here before. They were trash, they were unwanted, they were undesirables. So they're gonna use the corporate structure to bully the Indian. But the problem is, we were here before you. Things were in place before you got here. So using the de facto government, using restrictive litigation and policies and saying, okay, I don't like certain colors of people, so I'm going to be a judge that sends certain colors of people away, doesn't take away from the fact that if push come to shove, you don't have nowhere to go, but you want to try to push around and, you know, terrorize the indigenous population that is letting you stay here.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to touch you. We can just say, hey, European countries, take y'all Mayo monsters back. We don't want to touch them. We don't want to look at them, especially the ones doing to what Stockton Rush is doing, that Severin Baldwin is doing. There's a good amount of white people, but we got to start advocating for the indigenous people on this land. You can't just be silent, because if we get hit, you get hit anyways.
Right. Good white people got to speak up, but good white people got to dissent from from this evil. They got to speak up. You can't be silent, because silent is consent. So if you're a good Caucasian, I have a lot of good Caucasian people that I've known throughout my life and my career. They are good souls. Speak up. We have good white people in our family. Speak up. Do not consent. It's very important that you give voice to what matters. Don't be crying about these weird old Black Lives Matter. That's not real. That's not real. None of that is real. The death ain't real. I'm not even gonna get into it. But none of that act was real. That was all daggone psychops to get your emotions all riled up around something that ain't real. So you have nothing left for something that is real. Well, that crap wasn't real. Get yourself up and stand up for something this is real. Stand up for something that is real. This fight that we are in is real. It is a real fight.
Yep. Or wore a hot dog hat. That's funny. So with this 1776 thing, are we celebrating what? Fake-ish? Patriotism?
Well,
Confederate flags that aren't theirs? Like, what is the celebration? Broke mother truckers coming here and not leaving? Like, I don't get it.
I think if from my mindset, this is my celebration is an individual mindset. My celebration is I like fireworks now. And I'm sorry, but I do. And it's bad. Bombs are bursting in here. Okay, that's all horrible. Like they're killing us. So, yeah, it's bad. But we got to understand that our people survived it. That for the Accawmacke, our repatriation began with the revelation of us being revolutionary soldiers. I didn't know that growing up. Like, I didn't know, because, everybody's like, oh, you're from Africa, and there's no records of us, and but when you start to research the records and you find that we go beyond the revolution, that was my aha. So I celebrate the fact that we were in those records, and we did, whether you can say we got duped into fighting. Yeah, we got duped into fighting, but the fact that we fought is why we fight now for our reclamation. If that evidence didn't exist, it wouldn't expose all the rest of the evidence that is in particular evidence for the Accawmacke Confederacy. And that affects a whole lot of people, because it ain't just us in Virginia. A lot of people, as Naomi was bringing out, are part of that Confederacy, from Maine to Nova Scotia, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Ohio, even daggone Illinois are part of that. So I celebrate the Revolutionary Soldier, because another aha moment from the Revolutionary Soldier was when I realized it, and I was like, oh, let me apply for it, because I'm naive back in 2018 or whatever it was, 17. And I'm like, I think it's 17 or 16. Might have been 2016. I'm naive, and I'm saying, oh, well, I could join the Daughters of the Revolution, not knowing that they're the main conspirators that take our land and falsify deeds and erase us from the records. I didn't know that. But when I went to go be inducted in as a daughter of a revolution, and they realized that not only do I say that my ancestors are Indian, but they're Negro. And I won't waver on that. I'm not saying they're mixed with Indian. I'm saying the Indians are Negroes, period. That shook them to the core. They were like, oh no, we can't have you up in here saying that. Right? That was a major aha moment, but it came because of our revolutionary ancestors. So yeah, I celebrate it, but for a different reason. The other thing I want to make everybody very much aware of with this day and the revolution, and the fact that 1776 is only 5 damn months away, and they ain't saying a damn thing about it. Right? The anniversary is 5 months away, the anniversary year, and they ain't saying shit. Why? Because they know that the Indians, also known as the Indians, American Indians, are very much aware of the fact that that is a lie. And it's not going to float without controversy and conversation, right? They can't just usher it in like, yay, with us just like, yeah, okay, let's get this, woo! Because they've been pushing that whole money. They have grant money for 250-year grant money, and all kinds of stuff is out there in the stratosphere. But the reality is, because there is a bomb of information that everybody's is sitting on that they're afraid of. So they know if they try to push this historic conversation of 250 years, that a whole lot of other stuff that they don't want to talk about is going to rise up with it. So they don't really know what to do about this 250-year anniversary. That's the truth, y'all, that nobody is talking about. So that's the thing. So basically, yeah. So when we look at this day, realize that a major paradigm shift has occurred of the information, and that they may seem like there's a lot of nonsensical, and there's a lot of daggone, pseudo information out there, and there's a lot of daggone people that are, want to be historians. I get that. But in the mix of all that, there is a lot of truth and information is being passed around. And the fact that these indigenous people have awoken to a new understanding of the misinformation that they've been taught is very, very powerful in this planet. And the powers that be, the power brokers in the planet, so-called, they are very much aware of how fast this stuff is growing. And they are cautious. So I got to say on that. Anybody else?
I'll say a lot of the stuff that's imposed on us is by our consent. And I feel like since we're towards the dang anniversary of this pseudo stuff, a lot of pseudo stuff will be coming unraveled. But it's your time to actually get in position to lead in this country. Get ready to kick motherfuckers out. And we can do it the most smoothest way possible. Like, hey, this country, grab these, we can do it without even doing any dramatic stuff. Just, all right, bro, pack your bags, go. But it's time for people to step up, step into their power, step into their nationhood, and get with it. Because all this information fighting, we can fight information, we can fight genealogy, we can tussle about it all day, and the Lenape and all this other stuff that Moon's cousin be talking about that makes people want to cuss him out. We can do all this information arguing, but what are you doing in your home territory to make a change for your people? So when the guard changes and leadership changes, you'll be in place to do what you have to do. That's what counts. Everything else is temporal. All these male monsters, they're on a temporal, one-tracked desperation, depravity, scarcity, struggle, shuffle. Regardless of how much power and how many hedge funds they have, they can't undo what was already set before they raggedy, crackly, powdered, scallywag looking selves got here. It didn't work. You look crazy. You felt empowered to be criminals. It didn't work still. So everybody needs to get in place. Be ready to lead. And, you know, I don't know about the Masonic stuff. They're talking about international treaties. I don't know about that. I don't know how that works. I don't know how Prince Hall helped any Indians, but there's some Indians that are Prince Hall or whatever, or Shriners. I don't know about any of that. It's not like you're consenting to me, because a lot of them use a lot of your energy, and it's based off a lot of Indian principles, and it's weird. But get into your position of power and get ready to hold on to the reins, because it's time. And it's not about the protesting. No, it's about having conversations with different countries, having emails back and forth, whether it's lawsuits, whether it's less pendants, whether it's protective orders. Get in gear, learn the law, learn how it fucked you over, learn how to protect yourself in the long run. You have to go for miles, not a sprint. Miles, thinking miles, not in sprinting. Sprinting is what these rich, morally broken male monsters do. And the ones that sit back that are cool, they're not helping either. Regardless of your color or creed, if you're just sitting back being a complacent fool, you ain't for us no way. So just get in position. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Perfectly said. All right. Talof, are you still there? If you are, did you want to say anything? Are you
Yes,
there?
I'm here. For some reason, when Nay was given that information on that Titanic ordeal, my phone heated up. I guess it was too much good information. But I'm back.
Do you have anything to add at the end?
Um, Not really. It's all good information. I'm actually working and listening. I don't really have anything else to say.
Are you muted? Because I can't hear you on the
Yeah,
mic.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that was great. I think that we'll either get back together tomorrow or Sunday when people are more relaxed. A lot of people have a lot of chores dooms to do on Saturdays, so I get that. If we don't come back on tomorrow evening, then we will get back definitely on Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning, like late morning when you're relaxing, that kind of thing. So, yeah. This is great. We're going to be here live on the regular, because we're going to make sure that we are sharing just how we think and how we roll, and just the conversations we have offline all the time with you guys, instead of just talking amongst ourselves. So you have been present for the Accawmacke, just a snippet of the Accawmacke Council. And so, yeah, Ana, everyone. And until next time.
No.
Contact us at accawmacke.org if you have questions.
Or comment. You can actually comment on here, and comments count. Please like, share, subscribe, and
Somebody said they trying to contact us. So
okay, yeah, I saw that. I'm gonna put because they don't sometimes know how to spell it. Oh, got it. Right. We have a comment section on accawmacke.org. It goes straight to our email. So thank you guys. And do comment, share, subscribe. And yes, we want to find our Accawmacke people. So if you're looking for, if you are Accawmacke and you're looking for, your folks, come on along. And if you just got questions and you're trying to find out more about your own nation, we build nations, we mentor leaders. We're here for y'all. Ana.